building, team building via competitive learning. All right, I was expecting a different layout. So real quick, I'm Chris Carlis. I'm the guy on this side. I have a day job working for Zurich Insurance, or I'm a member of the red team there. So I do penetration testing. I do other stuff, like community organizing, let's say. Yeah. I do a bunch of that. And I'm a hacker. I know sometimes people disparage the word hacker, but I mean, we're at Hackfest tomorrow and stuff like that. It's cool, like I'm happy with it. I love what I do. I'm passionate about security. I'm obsessed with this work. So much that it's a little bit disturbing, but like, cool, whatever. I got my own quirks and I've made a career out of it. Happy to do it. My counterpart here is?
I'm Mike Connor. I'm from Principal Financial. I do internal pen testing for them. I really like CTFs. I've been building, designing, testing, playing, all of that from individual challenges to full-on competitions for the past 12 or so years now. So a little bit of experience in messing up and fixing my mess-ups there. I'm also a hacker. We do a lot of community building within the Chicagoland area where we're both from, just kind of getting the community together similar to this, but on a slightly smaller scale. Okay.
Nope, too far. Okay, let's talk about what we're going to be talking about. Even though, like, I gotta say, a lot of ways, it feels like we're here preaching to the choir because I'm like Hackfest is right there, and it's got an awesome CTF. We were just down in Orlando speaking with FSISAC, where we're like, would you like to have a CTF? And they're like, what's a CTF? Maybe. So hopefully we don't have to explain too much, but I digress. What we're going to talk about, we're going to start off with talking about the value of competitive learning. Like, what can we, organizational-wise, expect to kind of get out of competitive learning? What kind of benefits and values does it bring to a company, and why do people like it so much? What makes it like a special thing?
Yeah, then we're going to kind of dig into what CTFs are, the nuts and bolts of them, what makes them good, what makes them bad, and kind of how you can determine whether the one that you're competing in, looking at, playing at, all of those is beneficial to you or you're just not the target audience.
And then, yeah, because we want you to have something like a takeaway from this, like CTFs, like how might they fit well into your organization, what you can do to bring them in. Might be a good fit, might be not, we don't know. But we're going to say a whole bunch of words about it. Hopefully you learn something new. Hopefully somewhere in these three categories that we'll just keep hammering on as we go through. But now that we're all on the same page, let's see what the next slide has. Oh, this one, cool. So competitive learning CTFs, like what benefits, like right off the bat, like for an organization, for a business, what might it help you out with? I know right in the bottom there it says team building. That's part of the title slide. I think it's a key component, but real quick, running through recruiting, bringing people into your organization, finding security people who are not just like looking for the job, but are like kind of like I am obsessed about what we do. I've seen this numerous times over the years at different conferences where I've seen my boss do it. We're like, that kid won the CTF contest. Let's get him an interview. And now he's on my team. He was working as a SOC analyst before, and now he's a penetration tester. Retention, these types of events, the competitive learning, the CTF, they're weird, I'll say, yes, but I think they're fun. A lot of people think they're a lot of fun. And like work is work, but it's still fun to be able to do something related to your job, or maybe just somewhat related to your job that is something different and something that mentally engages you and is a bit entertaining. And that can help keep people at your organization. Like, yeah, like it's not perfect, but we do CTF stuff, and that's a lot of fun. Progression, I like to mention that one simply because for a lot of people, I think they start a job in security and like you don't know necessarily what the jobs are or what you want to do. CTFs and a lot of other types of training out there, but CTFs offer a wide variety of like trying something out different. Like maybe you'll try a challenge outside of your specialty and you're like, this is actually pretty interesting. And that'll spark a desire to learn more, and maybe decide, like, I tried, a forensics reversing challenge. And, now I'm looking a lot more at forensics, and maybe your one-level employee decides, I want to progress and move to forensics. It can help people in the organization decide where they want to go, which is, I think, always a difficult decision. And then finally, team building. CTFs can be solo activities, but they can also be something that your team comes together. Like, it's a difficult thing, I think we all know, to have, you have employees and, like, they're doing their job, but to have them operate and function as a team can be a challenge, especially when it's something critical, like defending an organization. Like, when the shit goes down, when the things go down, when shit goes down and you need your blue team to come together and operate, you need incident response to function where everyone knows that they can trust everyone to do their job and do their role. You don't have to try to, like, get that going and learn that when the actual incident is taking place. So coming together as a team where it's not playing laser tag or go-karts, but where they're doing something kind of work-related and it's challenging and fun, can really help bring a team together. We do it a lot with red team stuff because, like, it's straight up in our name, red team. We got to do this stuff together. Yeah.
I would also say that you also get to learn people's strengths and weaknesses doing this stuff as a team. You're going to figure out, okay, this person really likes this, is really good at this particular task, and that's something that, okay, that incident's going down or something needs work. That's the first person you're going to go to. And that might not be part of their day-to-day or your day-to-day work, and all of a sudden, because you're working together as a team, you know this right now.
Oh, man. You know what I forgot? I can't believe I forgot. So you've probably picked up on it. And we can't do anything about it at this point. Mike and I are Americans. Like, it wasn't our choice. We are also upset about everything going on, but here we are. Thank you for letting us in the country. We'll be staying for as long as we can. All right.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah. It's so much better. All right. Security people. People in our industry, they're interesting. Let's say, I don't know. I was talking with Mike earlier today about this. How, like, the more, like, I learn and talk with my peers and people in our community in Chicagoland, where we're from, in our industry, I'm like, we're all just kind of, like, uniquely neurodivergent in a way that makes us want to fight crime like Batman, but, like, also not work out or leave the house. We found security, and we're like, this is it. This is the shit. This is what we want to do. And so we've migrated to it. We've grown to security and said, this is what we're going to be doing. That's a weird thing. That, I think, level of passion. I've had interviews in the past. You've probably had this before. Like, when I was earlier on in my security career, where I was asked, as part of the interview, like, oh, what does your home lab look like? What sort of projects are you working on? Maybe you've asked these questions for potential employees. All right, that is batshit insane. Like, I wouldn't go to my surgeon and be like, hey, what surgeries do you like to do in your spare time? Like, no. But, like, for us, that's a normal thing. Of course I have a blog talking about security stuff. Why wouldn't I? I love this stuff. Please give me a job so I can do it for money. As a counterpart to this, training is a difficult thing. I'm going to let Mike say a word or two. Sorry.
Yeah, so it's finding something that fits our types of people to keep them interested and engaged is something that's a little more than a hands-on task. You got to make sure that it's relevant to what they're interested in, relevant to what they're trying to learn and what they're trying to do, and then figure out, okay, how can we challenge and train them using that? That's a very hard thing to balance right there, with 3 different things probably going 5 different ways.
All right. Like, the subtext of what I'm talking about here is the CTFs provide a unique value for people who think differently in a way that is obsessive about security, for people who, like, all right, getting training for these folks. We've all done annual security training at our organizations where you click through something as fast as you can and check the box, you're good. That's not training. Training is something where you're learning something new. And there's lots of different ways to try to get people to learn something new. I'm doing some of it right now. It's going okay. We'll talk about that in just a second. But CTFs offer a training opportunity, a way to learn something new that is really engaging for people, because you're actually, like I said, you're actually solving a problem. You're actually, learning something new, not because you're told to, but because this is the stuff you want to learn something new about anyway. And someone is presenting it in an engaging, entertaining way, and you can work with your coworkers, and now they're your friends, and things are better. Oh, did I steal all the thunder from this one? I'll let you say more. All right, go ahead.
Yes and no. So we're calling this competitive learning. There isn't really any official title for this or any way to really describe it, but it's the idea that you're going to learn more when you compete in something. It's not just, okay, we're passively doing it, or we're actively doing something and learning like that. This is more. We're competing against other people. How can we learn in this competitive environment where a competition is going to last 24, 48 hours? Can I learn this thing in that time? Once I've learned it, okay, I've learned it. Now can I continue to repeat that process when I see it again? Pushing that idea of competition, expanding and pushing forward that learning capacity of individuals. So one of the things that we have here, and I'm going to steal some of his words now, because
Thank goodness.
if I don't, he's just going to keep stealing everything I could say. Looking at this is the learning pyramid. It's on Wikipedia. There's links to it. You can find it. At the top, you can see lecture. You'll get about 5% of this. We're hoping that with the reading and then the audio, you might get up to about 20% of the content. Whereas us, we're up here talking, we're maybe at about 30% understanding. But going down and getting more hands-on into things, you're going to get more and more active in doing stuff. And we have what we'd like to call the better learning pyramid, where, yes, you can get up to 110% of something by actively competing in it instead of just, okay, showing and doing others. We're going to say, okay, force yourself to learn it, compete about learning it, and now move on from there.
Yeah. So I think we're gonna stick this back on Wikipedia with our edition on there in the bottom of competition. We'll see if anyone notices. We think we're right. As Mike said, we're up here in the lecture and reading and audiovisual, very low percentages, which is why I keep CTFs are cool. You guys should do them. Let's just hammer that home several times. CTFs are awesome. Bring them to your organization. Trying to up our percentages just a bit. Capture okay.
Yeah. So one thing we want to be very specific is the difference between capture the flag, training labs, and cyber ranges, because there is a lot of overlap and potential misunderstanding about what they are. We want to make sure that there is a differentiation between all of them. Capture the flags, we're putting more into the idea of, okay, here's a challenge or goal for you, and that's it. It's go figure it out, you're on your own. At the end of the competition, if someone solves it, or maybe not, we might tell you how it's done. We might say, hey, we're going to put that in our back pocket and use it again later. Training labs are a lot more of, okay, here's that same challenge or goal from the CTF, but here's a walkthrough or a guide that you can use if you get stuck somewhere. And so it allows people to continue the training. It's the same challenge and idea, but it makes sure that people will always get to that end goal if they need to. Whereas the competition is a little more, okay, go do it on your own. And then cyber ranges, I'm going to give this one over to you.
Cyber range, all right, so I'm a pen tester, so I think about pen testing all the time. Cyber range is a bit more like if you've had a purple team engagement or red team engagement. Cyber range is an opportunity to put into practice what should be known, what should be happening. You have skills, you have experience, and they're like, here's an environment, and get in there and do what you guys do. In comparison to, say, the capture the flag event, which is more like a penetration test. Who knows what's going to happen? We're going to learn something new about computer security and maybe about ourselves. I think they're both, in their own way, excellent opportunities for some team building. Especially, you can get together and work through both of these. Training labs are definitely something more, I think, that's a solo learning kind of activity.
That's more professional growth and individual development kind of thing. Still beneficial in their own right, but different than what we're talking about and suggesting here. So another thing is we'd like to, sticking with the capture the flag thing, talk about the different styles and formats of capture the flag contests. So a lot of people have heard of the Jeopardy format where you get a bunch of categories and challenges within them. And there's a lot of, within that general category, challenges of varying difficulties for varying amount of points within that general category. And that's probably the most common and most preferred one that they have. There's also attack and defend, where it's you got 2 or more teams fighting for control over a thing. Who knows what that is? It changes based on the competitions. And you're trying to hold on to said thing for as long as you can for the most amount of points. Then there's also different variations where there's, as I like to call it, a rabbit hole kind of thing where one challenge leads you to the next one, which leads you to the next one, and you just keep digging down that hole until you get to the end result. But it's, for the purposes of our conversation today, we're pretty much going to be focusing on the Jeopardy style, just because that'll give you the widest range of categories, topics, challenges, and just kind of the most common as well that people will come across.
Cool. When I started doing CTFs, I assumed that the challenges were just some jerk like Mike sitting in a room coming up with like weird shit. Like, let's see if they can figure out what the hell I was thinking about when I came up with this one. And then putting trash out there for me to bang my head against for the length of an entire conference that I paid good money to go to hear people speak and then did not hear people speak. Turns out I'm wrong about that.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that, and this was not something I knew right away, I learned from building challenges, is the best way to build a challenge is to define its purpose right away. I'd say the best example of that is if I were to ask everyone in this room to build me a computer, I'd probably get a unique one for every single one of you. If I were to ask you to build me a computer on AWS, that's going to narrow the focus. If I were to ask you to build a Windows machine on AWS, now we're getting pretty similar, but if I were to do, okay, can you build me a Windows 7 R2 machine in AWS, I'm pretty sure everyone's going to come up with mostly the same machine. Then it's just the individuality of, okay, how is it configured? What's the user on it? What's the password for the user? Is there a background? Are there any additional applications or tools that you pre-installed for me? And then that's kind of how CTFs are built. It's if you understand the purpose of the challenge, the purpose of what's being built and designed, it's easy. But then it's, okay, the individual flair, if you want to call it, of the challenge based on the creator for the audience that you have. And so we're going to kind of talk about some of the good and then the bad about different challenges and how you can kind of look and see what that is for yourself.
Yeah. And the reason we're going to kind of cover this is because like a lot of times you can tell when something's crap. And you'd be like, I don't like this. It's, I think, important to be able to articulate why something is crap, especially if you're making a decision, like, should I spend money based off of what I've seen on this? Is this a good investment for my people, for my time, for our energy? So we're going to, give a kind of like a rundown of being able to identify good and crap as far as like CTF challenges go, based on our official opinions, pretty much. We have no statistics to back this up, really.
Yeah, so it's continuing on with that purpose of a CTF challenge. You can see here that we've borrowed someone else's kind of development life cycle and put our own to it, but it's very similar in that goal of kind of how we go about doing it. There's a lot of planning and analysis before we even get to the design. It's, okay, if I'm going to build a cipher, am I going to build one that has been done before, or am I coming up with my own cipher? I'm lazy. I'm going to go find someone that's been done before, but hopefully one that's a little obscure that might require people to do some research. Then I'm going to, when I'm designing and building it, okay, is there a tool out there that'll automatically do this for me? I'm lazy. I don't want to have to write that tool myself, but at the same time, I don't want that tool just being, here's the magic button, let everyone else get the answer right away as well. And so making sure and weighing up if that's what we're looking for with the challenge or not. Then the other thing here is test, test, test. It's so many times I will send a challenge to a friend or a cohort and say, okay, go through this. What do you see? They're like, yeah, strings found the flag for me. Okay, awesome. Now I got to go through and redesign or rebuild the challenge so that strings doesn't give them the flag right at the get-go or things like that.
Yeah. It is something like we're building challenges for people that we know are smarter than us and better at this than us. So inevitably, things that we don't know come up. And the number of times when someone's like, we completed, like, hey, you completed that challenge in like 2 minutes. It should have, by our calculations, taken you at least an hour, even if you're really good at this kind of thing. What the hell happened? It's a learning opportunity for us to be like, oh, that's a thing that also exists. I wish we were perfect at this, but there are like some like wicked smart people working in this industry, which is awesome. And the CTF is a chance to kind of meet with them and deal with them a bit.
Or you could go the other direction of, we forgot to clear bash history on one of them, and congrats, there's your flag if you just check that.
Yeah,
Which, that goes back into the design and build phase of, make sure you're clearing your bash history. Yeah. No more of a problem.
Your CTF builders, they're only human. They're doing the best they can. If you find something that's a blatant cheat, don't share it with everyone. Just let them know so they can, please, really quickly, just fix it before it ruins the challenge for other people.
Yeah, they'll probably laugh, pat you on the back, say good job, and then go cry in a corner for a bit.
Weeks of work.
Yeah. So, what makes a good challenge?
What does make a good challenge, Mike? As I drink some fluids here. Oh, you got a flow chart? Dang, bring the money to the presentation this time. We should have made those words bigger, because I doubt that I can read that in the back. Basic flow chart of how a CTF challenge goes, at least when Mike and I are building them out.
Yeah, and so for those in the back that can't really read, up at the top is challenge intro, and at the bottom in green is solve challenge. Everything else is just everything that is added into the specific challenge. There's whole different parts that are required to get to where we need to be. The one that I want to point out and is the most important to me is the challenge intro. It's where people start. It's what I like to call the prompt of the challenge. And that is almost the make or break part of where you can figure out a challenge is good or not. Because it's with that information that you start with, is there enough there to go off of and know the direction the challenge should take you? If you get something that's just like, yeah, here's a file, or here is an address, a URL, something like that. Okay, it's really open-ended. You're kind of confused as to what could be going on, but if it tells you, hey, we're looking for this, here's some information about it, and then here's the location where this is at, now you've got a better direction as to where to go. But the other important thing, and this is more just experience with CTFs, the designers are going to hide hints and clues and puns, wordplay, and a bunch of stuff in the name of the challenge, in that prompt itself in the text. So if you see something that looks like it's a typo or might be grammatically incorrect, there's a good chance it's there intentionally to try and give you a hint as to what the challenge is supposed to be. It's taking all of that information, literally as presented, down to the character level and understanding what is being presented to you.
Yeah. So, like, one of the things I like about this flowchart is, like, we, for the most part, the designers are providing all the challenge, all this stuff here, not the third-party stuff, but the maximum effort, that's the contestants. That's the people playing the challenges. That's you, if you're taking part in the CTF. Maximum effort. You got to try. Hopefully it's something that, like, you don't just instantly solve, and you're going to force yourself to kind of learn and expand some energy, learn something new. But to get to that point, there's plenty of opportunities for us to screw it up every other way. So if we do everything right and things line up, then it gets to the part where someone's going to get that challenge and they're going to learn something new that day. And I think perhaps most importantly, when they're done learning, when they achieve that challenge, when they get to the solve challenge part, there is that I accomplished something. I learned something I didn't know before. I solved a puzzle that I previously had no idea what the hell was going on. It was a little bit of fun, and that's why they want to do a CTF. So a bunch of stuff goes into it, but really without leading up to that maximum effort, having people come in and actually putting in the work themselves by choice, subjecting themselves to this weird shit, they get the benefit of it.
So some examples of good challenges. we spoke about how we were running a CTF at FSISAC last week, and one of the ones that people gave us feedback on that they said that they enjoyed the most was a 3-step challenge that we put under our networking category. It wasn't overly difficult, but it was very much okay, you start with a PCAP that gives you some information on a user and a password that you had to pull out of there. The second step was using that user and password to log into a server. And the third part was using the information on the server to elevate privileges to an admin user and get her flag there. And that one was kind of unique in that it was one of the few that had multiple steps and multiple flags involved in it. But it was also okay, we're starting with a simple file that we say, hey, there's some communication in here with some sensitive information, using that to then pivot to the location that we say, okay, you need to get access here, and then expanding that access to, okay, root privileges, you've got full access to this box. A lot of people really enjoyed that, where it's just the simplicity of understanding A to B to C and going from there.
Yeah. As a counterpoint to that, we also did a challenge called Pigeon. Yes. Frequently, when people are doing CTFs, they start getting deep in the weeds really fast. Like, they know, like, stuff you're never going to see in real life. You're never going to run across steganography. Maybe you will. I don't know what your day-to-day is like. Maybe you deal with steganography all the time, but I've only ever seen it in a CTF. And so when you show me an image of a pigeon, and I'm like, the pigeon's looking at something on the ground. Okay, probably steganography. And I start, like, busting out tools and Googling stuff and looking at the data for, like, looking at the end of the bytes, all this weird stuff. But Mike built this one. He's evil. So, like, the image, there's a bit of a white background for the sky where the pigeon is there. And then in just slightly different color white is just the flag on the image. So to solve this challenge, you just look kind of hard at the picture and see the flag. We had a lot of people burn a good number of cycles on that.
Some people might have got mad at me. I also designed the image so that the focus was the exact opposite corner of the image from where the flag was hidden, just to kind of really mess with people like that, but it's...
Right. And so that just left by itself, a little bit rough. But as like mentioned on the flowchart and our stuff, like when we're developing these, we're developing hints. So when people like come up and like, what the hell is going on with this pigeon? Well, honestly, your first hint is to just tell them the word pigeon.
No, that was a different
challenge. Oh, that's a different one. Oh, thank you. Yeah. We have, we'll able to like breadcrumb people without giving them the challenge, like kind of like point them in this direction. Usually just by asking the correct kind of questions, and then people start thinking more along the line that you're looking to go. But yeah, simple challenge. I feel like it matches the way I do penetration testing a lot, where I'm not going to drop some exploit crap. I'm literally just going to try the dumbest shit possible and see if you've changed the default passwords on your stuff. And I wish it wouldn't work so much, but it does, like, all the goddamn time. So I'll get better when the stuff I want stops working. But, like, a lot of these is, like, keep it simple. Just look at it and try like, the most obvious things that you can possibly think of, and then take it up from there.
One of the things I had to keep telling people with some of the challenges in this recent competition was that they were overthinking it. Start simple, start easy. You don't need to, okay, I need a 0-day exploit on this. No, I'm lazy. I'm not going to make you do that because I don't want to have to do that.
I've never had a problem with overthinking. Oh, so what makes a good challenge? Interactive. What do you mean? What are you talking about, interactive?
Something where you're actually working with something. So we had a series of netcat challenges where you'd connect to a machine on a specific port, it'd give you a prompt, and then you had to communicate back and forth with that prompt. Making sure people are actually doing stuff, not just, hey, I'm going to give you a file, you click the magic button, and it solves it for you. No one has fun with that.
Okay. Informative, that can be a challenging one because there are people who love CTFs and do them all the time. And like a lot of CTFs will have a number of starter kind of challenges, kind of get you going, and they will burn through those. Some people have written tools that just find CTF flags for them, looking at like, it scrapes all the source pages from every web page and searches for a flag string and submits those for me. They're not necessarily learning something new, but in general, you want to build challenges that help teach people about something that maybe they didn't know about before.
Yeah, so achievable. We want to make sure that it's completable by everyone within the time frame of the competition. And so part of this is understanding the audience that's going to be there. Part of it's understanding the time frame of the competition, and then building and tweaking it so that it fits within those goals. Now, this isn't to say that everyone's going to solve every challenge. I'd say that's a poor way to do it. That's more of a training lab than anything. But within a competition, you want to make it so that someone with zero knowledge, if they were to spend their entire time in the competition working on that hard challenge, they should be able to solve it. There should be enough direction, hints, and stuff built into the challenge and in the system so that they can get there and solve that. That said, one of my goals is just to have every challenge solved, not by all people, but by at least one. And recently I've been okay with that. There's been a few in the past where there's one or two, but aiming to make sure that everything is achievable within the competition is a very important play, in my opinion.
Cool. What was the firming again? I know you told me. I forgot. Sorry.
That is making sure that when people are trying something that they are getting the correct information back. So in some challenges, you might have a red herring or a false path that people will go on. And so at the end of that path, making sure that it's not just a dead end and no information, but hey, yeah, we expected you to do this, but you went the wrong way, go back and try again. So that it's not, okay, I'm at this part, now I'm stuck. Do I need to keep going here, or do I need to start over, or is there something I'm doing wrong? Making sure that there's enough information for when things do go wrong, or if people aren't doing quite exactly what the challenge entails, that they have enough information to go back to where they should restart, if you want to say.
And content user enjoys. Oh, yeah, it should be fun. It shouldn't actually feel like real work. It shouldn't feel like something you're forced to do. Also, I think just a little bit of like applying a certain amount of theming to your CTF challenge. Like we've done ones that are like Alice in Wonderland themed. A lot of challenges had to do with Lewis Carroll literary works and images. We're putting together one based on the movie Hackers, which is like super fun. And then, building challenges that are themed along with that movie. Things that like, it's not just, here, figure out what Mike was thinking about, but also like, hey, you need to help Zero Cool hack the FBI. All right. I think it's fun, whatever.
Yay, bad challenges.
Oh, they suck.
They exist. They happen. We're not happy when it happens. You learn from it and you move on. But it's understanding what makes a bad challenge and how you can kind of figure out where something might have gone wrong, or almost just steer clear of something that doesn't quite fit.
Yeah. Being too clever for your own good, pretty much, at a certain point. You just like, if no one is going to be able to solve what the hell you were thinking about in the time period that they have for the conference, then that's not a good challenge. It needs to be, solvable. It doesn't matter if like, oh, I have no problem with that. Yeah, of course. Everyone can make a cipher that they can't crack, but making something that is solvable by everyone in the reasonable time. A lot of it comes down to writing for your audience. Yeah, we've all so you've probably seen reports and you've read them and been like, this is way too technical for the executive levels that I need to bring this to, or this is just a Nessus report that you slapped into a PDF and called it a pen test. Mike and I have both done a lot of consulting over the years, and writing for the audience that is going to be consuming your media is it's critically important and frequently missing. I mean, we've both moved to like working internal security at large organizations, and now we see other people's reports coming into us, and in general, we're like, this is trash. I would have gotten fired for this crap. So when we're trying to come up with good challenges and trying to avoid challenges, we're trying to make sure we're writing for the audience at the specific conferences where we'll be hosting this kind of things. Like with the FSISAC, it is, it is a lot of people who were previously hands-on keyboard and have been promoted to doing, managing security for their local banks and financial institutions. But they're not going to have the latest and greatest skills. They have not been doing CTFs like crazy, like the attendees at Hackfest. So writing challenges that are solvable for them.
Story time.
Oh, you go first.
Okay. A real quick one, and this is more just an anecdote that kind of leads into his, I think. But one of my favorite CTF experiences was back at DerbyCon many, many moons ago, to the point that I forgot which one it was. But they also have had a very large CTF. And first day of the conference, we're going there, sitting in the back of the room, and everyone in the room is sitting on their laptops except us sitting in the back. We're just, okay, hanging out with friends who are working on it. So he pulls up on his phone and starts going at one of the challenges. And at the time, anytime you submitted a flag, it played a loud noise so that everyone knew, hey, this person got a flag. And so he lines it up, figures out one of the challenges, puts his phone as loud as it can go, stands in the back of the room, hits the submit button, and it just goes this loud, ah! So that everyone in the room turns and looks at him, and he just says, I just solved that on my phone. What's taking all of you so long? And then we just walked out.
Yeah, everyone's hard at work. Yeah. All right, that was a bit of a jerk move. Yeah. They were working on real stuff. I looked at like the source code of a page and found a flag, but I was first on the board pretty much.
Yeah, it's one of those things where they don't all need to be difficult. They don't all need to be, okay, I need to do this on my computer. Some of them will be easier or only possible on the computer, but that doesn't mean that you can't start on your phone and get some information, and then when you need to move to another machine.
I think my story is like pretty much from the same time. DerbyCon was a conference down in Louisville, Kentucky. It was very popular in security and hackers for a while, and then they stopped doing it, which stuff happens. We all move on. That year, the company we were both at, SecureWorks, brought their red team to the conference, and it was like 8 or 9 of us, and we were all doing the CTF, and it was a great team building opportunity. Like we all live different places, so the opportunity to like see each other face to face and interact with each other was fantastic. And they're all sitting there together, working like nonstop, around the clock on this stuff. Like 3 o'clock in the morning, they're still hammering away, and I'm helping in my own little unique way, I suppose. But at that conference, I turned to our manager and I was like, "This is it. Like, I don't know what you need to make happen, but like getting us together and allowing us to like just hang out and work together, especially like the CTF where we're all, showing off our skills and trying to impress each other to solve as many challenges as fast as we can. This is like, there's no other way you can get this for us. I think at the end of that, I want to say our team took second. We hired the first place winner. So he joined our team like a month later. And then the next year, SecureWorks sent, I want to say like 40 or 50 people to the same conference. They sent most of the technical testing, most of the penetration testing team, based off of like essentially the stories that we brought back and the benefit that that manager at the time saw from it. It was not a cheap trip, but the opportunity for all of us to come together, and not everyone took part in the CTF. There's a lot of stuff going on at the conference, but I would say over half of the people that came were engaged in the CTF that went on there, which was a good CTF. So I think that's my favorite story from what did I forget? About
stuff. The word list one.
Oh, yeah, this is more along the lines of like, I tried the dumbest stuff possible first. The flags for the CTF that year, I think.
One of the years.
Yeah, one of the years. Were just random words. It could be, some of them are specially formatted strings, and you can tell these are flags. But for this CTF, it was just words. And you'd find them and submit them via the web portal and get some points. Some of them were worth a lot of points. Some were only worth 1 or 2 points. And on day one, at a certain point, I looked at my teammates and I said, we should just submit all of the RockU word list. RockU is if you don't know, is a very common, popular word list used for password guessing. It comes default on like a lot of word list installations and stuff. It's not super big, but it's been generally pretty solid over the years. I'm like, we should just script it up so it runs through entire RockU and just try submitting all these flags. There's no penalty for submitting a bad flag. Let's just do this. And everyone laughed at me. And it turned out that RockU was actually flags. Like at a certain point, you had to compromise a domain during this capture the flag and then dump all the hashes, and then try to crack all these hashes, all of which were words in the RockU word list. So if I had just listened to my gut, if I just trusted my gut in dealing with the CTF challenge, I would have taken like first or second doing zero work. And yeah, the whole little like solving a challenge on my phone story, that would never have come up because I'd be too busy telling everyone how I want a CTF without really trying. That'd be a completely different talk.
Yeah, so one last story from me going to a bit of a different approach. For everyone who's aware of the Carly Rae Jepsen song Call Me Maybe, I had designed a challenge around that in roughly 2012, 2013, where taking the quote from it, hey, I just met you and this is crazy, but here's my number, and then giving people the SMS PDU. And so that's just the datagram from SMS, which conveniently enough is encoded in hex. And so you could literally just go through a hex decoder and it would say, text me maybe. But now you've got all this junk on it that you would need to figure out what that was from. And it was very topical at the time, but I was a poor person. I did not have the ability to go get a new phone or get this all set up. So I said, okay, I'll figure it out later. And the reason that I brought this up is because there was a tool on a website in the Netherlands that would plug it all in and do it all for you. Just like, yes, this is great. It's a tool that I can use. It's a tool that people can find. It's not like the first or second link on Google, so you'd have to dig for a few minutes, but you could get to it. And it's something that would be fairly accessible to all people, and they'd be learning a little bit about SMS and all from there. And so I sit on it for a year. Same thing happens. I still don't have time or the energy, or more aptly, the money to go get the phone and go do this. So the third time comes around, and I had the time, or I had the money for it, but I was focused on getting other challenges up and running, where instead of, okay, I'm gonna go pay and maybe have this work, it's no, I've got working things now, I'm gonna make sure those are working correctly, and the competition's gonna go on. So year 4, I finally have time to do this, I have the money, I'm all set to go get the phone and all of this set up, and the website's down. I no longer have a way to easily build this. I no longer have a way for people to reasonably solve this. Now it's, okay, this breaks my entire challenge. I can go spend a few days or probably weeks researching the specific configuration of the SMS PDU, understand where and how it needs to fit into the challenge that I'm going to write, and then manually craft it myself. I'm lazy. I don't want to do all of that. Then at the same time, if I were to present that challenge to other people, how are they going to do it? How quickly would they be able to solve it? It just doesn't work. And so I had this great challenge that would have been very timely, very interesting, and something that most people probably hadn't seen, and all because the design and build process failed. Now we're kind of out of it.
All right. Okay, bringing it home a bit. Help me out.
So we look at CTFs, and we're trying to look at beyond fun and profit and understand that these are something that you can bring to your organization. Not just, okay, we need to force this, but this is something that the team would probably appreciate, the team would probably work with and actually enjoy, but then moving on to understanding that the benefit to the company as a whole.
Yeah, it's not something that's going to be for everybody. I have plenty of coworkers who do not like conferences, do not like CTFs, don't particularly want to do them. It's more of a job for them. Some people, as we mentioned, are really into it. We're going to see a bunch of them here pretty soon. It is something that we think can have a lot of value as far as like the aforementioned, training, retention, keeping people interested in their jobs, keeping people progressing through their career paths within your organization. Plenty of places to find these. Fun Fridays, that was something we had at SecureWorks. It was something simple where like on Friday at like 2 p.m. or something, we'd drop a challenge and it'd be open to all, originally it was just all the penetration testers, and then like the researchers wanted to get into it. And there was some prize of like a gift card, but who cares? The real prize is being able to brag to everybody else that you solved the challenge first. So those were a lot of fun. Hack the Box.
Yeah, Hack the Box, Immersive Labs, Try Hack Me, those are all programs and things that I've used in my current position. You have some that are very literal CTFs that they'll run for you. They also have just their training labs where if you turn off the hints and say, hey, everyone, we're going to make this a CTF or a challenge for this week, everyone go do it. That's almost the same thing. So if you already have one of these products, that is a very simple, low-cost solution that you're probably already paying for and would be able to utilize internally. And
conferences, all right, yeah, their conferences cost money. Sending people to them takes time. A big part of it is just showing up. Like showing up and having that interest. We run like at this point a weekly security gathering in Chicagoland. A couple hundred people come out every month. Chicago's a big city. We got like 3 million plus easily. But it's the people who show up, the people who like are into this enough that they want to go. Finding the budget for these kind of things, I mean, it's tough. It's always going to be a fight. But the value of having people at conferences, listening to people talk, and if there's a CTF, taking part in that, if that's their jam, is an excellent opportunity. Frequently, not every conference has a CTF. Not everyone has one as awesome as Hackfest. But even if it's like a local B-sides, there's a good chance that somebody's put in some work to come up with something to help teach and entertain the attendees for pretty much the cost of the ticket to the con. All right, where to find them, CTF time, Reddit. That arrow, I was kind of like rolling the dice, like maybe we can have it point right to the Hackfest CTF room, and it does not. That is not the correct direction for that arrow, but what can you do? We didn't feel like changing the slide. So the Hackfest CTF, super looking forward to that. Yeah, if you've been here like wondering what the hell I'm talking about the Hackfest CTF, like get on the internet, check it out. It is, or just come to it. It is one of the more impressive showings I've seen. The DEF CON one is, well, there's so many people at DEF CON, but this one, so many people working together so hard. Like we could have cut out a good like half this talk and just been like, let's go look and check it out right now. And you'd be like, oh, I see what you're talking about. Fighting against this kind of stuff, we know as you're in management, you got to deal with budget. That's always going to be a fight. You have training dollars, you have travel dollars, maybe. Can you convince your organization that this is the best use of those dollars? Possibly. We hope we provided additional information to help make that argument, if that's the argument you're looking to do. Time, it's going to take time out of someone's day. If you got your entire team doing this as a team building opportunity, what else is going on that's not being taken care of while everyone's doing the CTF? And interest, I think we mentioned not everyone wants to do a CTF. You shouldn't try like necessarily force this on someone like, I'll make you learn by competing against other people that you don't really care about. It won't work, but from what we've seen, there's a lot of interest for this sort of thing. All right. I think we did okay on time. We're done. No? All right, yeah, good. No questions, because obviously we covered everything multiple times. All right, one or two questions maybe? No? We're keeping you from lunch, I'm pretty sure. All right, so if nobody has any questions, then we can eat some lunch. But we are happy to answer any questions both here or off the stage if you want to talk to us later. If you're wondering where I bought my shirt, it's at Target down in America. I don't think you guys have them here. So there's one question answered right there. All right, hit it. There's some references for stuff. I don't know if you get these slides, but we'll try to make sure that you do. And that's it. Thank you.
Yep.
I forgot we put that in.
Yeah.